My father, Reginald George Stofer, was one of 8 boys and 3 girls, born to Robert Stofer and Mary Dibbin of London, England. My dad met my mother, Irene Violet Scott Colson, and they married, and with their firstborn, my eldest brother Reggie, came out to Canada in 1912. They sailed on the Empress of Britain. They had desired to sail on the Titanic, but their plans were foiled somehow and they didn't, thank goodness. Otherwise I wouldn't be telling you this story probably. They came out to Victoria mainly because my dad's eldest brother, Robert, and also his youngest brother, younger brother that is, my Uncle Bill, were working at the Empress Hotel. So this was their incentive to come out to Canada seeking a new life. Here are Mom and Dad arriving in Victoria with my brother Reg. We finally settled in the Mount Tommy district, and Dad built this house with Mom's help and designing things inside, the kitchen layout and everything like that. Mom was quite inventive. She came up with these carpets, these mats she made, as well as work in the garden. Mom and Dad both loved the garden, and Dad built an aviary in the bottom of the garden, canaries and everything in it. Lovely. Here I am with my friend Phil Ellis on the right and Jean Phillips in the middle. My Aunt Nell came to visit us from New Zealand. She's on the far left. I go to school at Cedar Hill Elementary. One of my knitted sweaters that Mom made for me. With Aunt Nell again, sticking our tongues out, not very nice. Now I'm at high school. Time flies. Another sweater that Mom knitted for me, turtleneck. My brother Reg in 1937 went to New York to try his talents. He played the guitar, sang and yodeled and dressed up and did funny little skits. He used to entertain in Victoria. I'm standing in front of our house, in front of Brother Eric's terraplane. I'm with Fred Norsworthy here, Fred and his motorbike. And out in front of the old CCF hall with some Mount Tommy friends. I love soccer, and our team won the league one year. We were that good. Here I am, dead center, with Robbie Williams on the left and Fred Norsworthy on the right. In 1938, I pedaled down to the border of California with Tom Ellis and Bill Court. Met my uncle, who was wearing the leather jacket there. He was coming up from California. I'm arriving home now, coming off the wharf. In 1939, Fred Norsworthy and I went back to California again, to Los Angeles, and here we are under an orange tree. We had a great time seeing the sights. One last fling before the war. Now, little did I realize at this time that living in Victoria was a young lady by the name of Lynette Priestley. And she had come down to live in Victoria from northern British Columbia, where she had lived with her parents.
Yes. I was born in an Indian village of Ianch on the Nass River in northern BC. My maternal grandfather was the Reverend James B. McCullough, the first white Anglican missionary in that area. He'd come out in 1883. And on one of his trips back to England, he had given a sermon.
He talked, didn't he, to a bunch of
a sermon and saying how wonderful BC was and how much it had to offer. And my paternal grandparents must have gone to one of his sessions, and they got very enthused about the country, and they decided to come out. So they did. Meanwhile, their son had gone out when he was 17 to Alberta.
That was your dad.
Yeah. And he had worked, and I guess when he was about 21, that was the time they were up there, and he thought he'd better go up and check it out. He didn't trust his parents that they had good judgment, I guess.
That was about 1907, wasn't it?
I believe, yeah. So he went up, and there, in the meantime, Melita, my mother, had been born. She was the first white child to be born in that territory. So when he went up, he met Melita, and they were roughly the same age, and they fell in love, got married, and built a house on the edge of the river, overlooking the Nass River.
And had 4 kids.
And had 4 children, yeah. And I was the youngest one of that group. The mighty Nass River in all its glory. Totem poles, native totem poles in the area. Typical Indian canoe with the old Indian and his wife. Another typical Indian family with their papoose. Dad's store with many bear skins trapped either by him or someone else. The house perched on top of the cliff overlooking the Nass River. It looks very precarious, but it lasted many, many, many years. This is another angle of the house with the wood supply. Hopefully they had a nice dry collection on the back porch, because that doesn't look like it's ready. This is the interior, the forerunner of the split level. Nice, eh? Mom and Dad and myself on a little bench outside the house. Me in my mosquito repellent outfit. Wasn't I funny? And I'm clutching a cat here we have in the family. My mom. This is a family picture. Dad's not in it because he was always taking the pictures. My brother Ken and myself on the beach, examining something, and me reading a book, or pretending to read. I always liked to read. My sister Kathleen, looking like Shirley Temple, very cute. My dad operating the whip saw, a really different kind of a saw. And here's the family. We like to pretend we were on a cruise, I guess. Schoolhouse. Log schoolhouse. We had to leave and come down to Victoria because population diminished. So we moved down in 1929 to Victoria. Here I am in Victoria with 2 little friends I met. We've got our dolls. Here I am at Butchard's Gardens with my sister Kay. Don't you like our hats? And there was no entrance fee in those days. Another little friend I met. At school, I was about grade 3 at Girls Central School, and I'm still at Girls Central School here. And now I'm in high school, there in the middle, Victoria High School I attended. And here I am as a typical teenager, about 15 years of age, I think. And my 2 girlfriends in downtown Victoria in the 40s, holding hands.
Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duty, so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its commonwealths last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
I'd always wanted to fly. While on my paper route, I used to go by the old airfield down on Lansdowne Road, and seeing all the aircraft got me really enthused. And so when the war broke out, it was a natural thing for me to want to get into the Air Force. I didn't want anything to do with the Navy or the Army. So I went down to see if I could join up, and to my dismay I found out that I didn't have enough education, because the Canadian Air Force at that time were only taking college graduates. This is for aircrew I'm speaking of. So I was very disappointed. But in the meantime, something had been going on that I suddenly became aware of. There was a Captain Biggs in town, Henry Seymour Biggs, who would help young Canadians get over to England to join the Royal Air Force. And it seemed that the Royal Air Force were taking anybody. Education didn't seem to come into it too much. So I made a point of finding out about this Captain Biggs. where he was. He had a little office downtown, and I went down to see him and met a lot of other young guys down there like myself who wanted to fly. And Biggs gave us an interview and asked us a few questions, told us what we could expect, all the discipline and everything. And I was accepted, and then he arranged for us to get our passports, and I went and got a passport photo, and before I knew it, I was on my way overseas. My mom and dad made a great sacrifice. They helped me get the money to go. It was $181.20. And soon I was on my way to Montreal. I sailed to the UK on the MS Masru, a Norwegian ship. And on arrival in England, I went down to London and enlisted in the RAF at Euston House. And after some training, rifle drill and discipline training and that sort of thing, I was posted to RAF Cranwell for my wireless course. It's an interesting course, and when it was over, I was sent up to Peterhead on the east coast of Scotland, and then later to Oban on the west coast. While I was at Oban, I received word from my mom that radio station KIRO in Seattle wanted me to represent them and present toys and candy to bombed-out kids in London. You'll have to read my biography, One Good Throw, for all of the details. My friend Roy Cook had come to England to join the RAF as I had done, and he and I met in Stratford-on-Avon. And that was the last time I saw him, for Roy became a bomber pilot, and in January of 1944, he was shot down and killed. I first learned of this while I was serving in India. On my leaves, I always went into London to stay with relatives. And here I am with my Uncle Sid and my grandma, Mary Stofer. I relaxed there, fooling around with my cousins, Eileen, Doreen, and Marjorie. I always took the opportunity to write home, as I knew Mum and Dad enjoyed reading my letters and passing the news on to the neighbors. I was posted to the Far East in the June of 1942 and spent a few weeks in South Africa at Durban and Cape Town, experiencing life in a tent city at Clarewood Camp, riding the rickshaws pulled by Zulus. While in South Africa, I visited the Valley of 1,000 Hills, and this Indian chief didn't like me taking his picture. I was taking his image, so to speak, so he put a curse on me. From South Africa on we went to India, and the first noticeable thing was the monument, the Gateway to India, on the harbor in Bombay. It was quite an experience to stroll the city streets and then, with full gear, head to the northwest frontier province, which is now Pakistan. My station in the north, not far from the Afghanistan border, was Rizalpur, the nearest town being Peshawar. Here we had peacetime living quarters, ceiling fans and mosquito netting, with bearers to look after us. The charwallas were a daily occurrence, bringing tea and cakes to our place of work or to our billet. One day I took a day trip to stand on the rocks above the famous Khyber Pass. For local transport into villages like Srinagar and Naushira, we took rickety old buses driven by madmen. To earn a few pennies, a snake charmer put on a display for us with a cobra. While at Rizalpur, I donned battle dress and took a commando course with the 14th Army instructors, presumably to be attached to General Lord Wingate's Chindits, a group who operated behind Japanese lines. This never came to pass. Most of my time at Rizalpur was spent on flight servicing of aircraft and a bit of target drogue towing in a Westland Lysander for air-to-air firing practice for the new young Indian pilots. We have bandits at Angels 10.
Benton, hello, Benton. Blue 1 here, Angels 8 over.
I later moved south to Madras, where I worked in a mobile unit away from the field, doing ground-to-air communication with aircraft. When in town, one always used the rickshaw for cheap transportation. Later, I was posted to Calcutta and then into Burma to work on a mobile signals unit in the middle of paddy fields. This mobile life took up the rest of my war until transfer to the RCAF in May of 1945. Back to Bombay to transfer to the RCAF, and here I met good friend Tom Ball, who was from Winnipeg. We enjoyed time together while waiting to depart on the Queen of Bermuda for the United Kingdom. Then I was home again in Victoria in August of 1945 with old Mount Tommy buddy Fred Norserly.
While living in Victoria, we lived in several different homes. The first one was on Johnson Street between Camosun and Fernwood, and I was just little then. And the second one was on Minto Street, the bottom of Moss Street. And I went to Girls Central School and had to run down the hill for lunch and then puff back up again after lunch. Then we moved to Harrison Street, and there I attended Victoria High School, and I graduated from there in 1943. During this time, I spent many happy hours with my good friends Margaret Pryor, who was Margaret Spence, and Betty Jean Saunders, who is now Betty Jean Fair. We would jump on the old streetcar and head to town, where we would window shop or actually buy stuff, go to a movie, or just have a Coca-Cola and a piece of pie. Or I might walk around town with various boyfriends, including some of the sailors we met at the Cheer-Up concerts in Beacon Hill Park, or Robert House Canteen. Bear in mind, it was during the war and I had not yet met Ken. I was still living at Harrison Street and working at Whittam & Company, real estate and insurance. Here I am outside the office with co-worker Doris Neal. I didn't really enjoy my job as a stenographer and typing up fire and auto policies, which involved math and calculating, not one of my favorite subjects. I should have been a receptionist of some sort, as I always loved dealing with people. At the end of the war in 1945, one night my girlfriend Rose and I were walking past the Old Dominion Theatre on Yates Street and noticed a friend standing in the lineup. He called us over to meet Ken Stofer, just back from India. They invited us to join them, and that was the beginning of my life with Ken. When I wasn't posing for sexy pictures, I was helping clear the land for our future home, tamping cement for the foundation, and we were not yet married. Soon the engagement appeared in the paper. We were married November 10th, 1947, in St. Aidan's lovely little church, since torn down. We left on the midnight CPR boat to Vancouver. On arrival, we boarded the Trailways bus, and for a cost of $38 each, we headed to Hollywood, California. We had a super time seeing the sights, movie stars, and an evening at the famous Earl Carroll's restaurant. We were on the show Meet the Misses as the couple who had been married the least amount of time, 2 days, 16.5 hours, and won a prize of aluminum cookware. Our house gradually grew from foundation to walls, windows, and roof. At the time we had a flat roof, as it was simpler for Ken to build. Mum Stofer sat on the chimney for a picture, and Ken sat astride his bike. Mum and Dad Stofer were caretakers at Bickerton Court, and we posed one day in the garden. Another time we took a trip to Vancouver to visit Eric and Dorothy. On one of our rare breaks from working on the house, we drove up island with Mum and Pop Stofer, stopping for a picnic at Little Qualicum Falls. Some scenes around the old Mount Talmy neighborhood. Fred Ellis and horse-drawn milk cart. This dairy farm was located where the fairway is today. There used to be a corner store called Wilson's, formerly Hunter's Corner, now the Coast Capital Credit Union. At the corner of Cedar Hill Crossroad and Stamboul was the old Merritt home, barn and garage, now Cloverdale Paint Store, and beyond that, Croft's Little House, later a pet clinic where Carol was working when Mark took our dog Jimmy for shots. Beyond that, the old Aiden's Hall, where Ken spent much time as a teenager playing basketball. While building our house, we lived with my mom and dad on Queens Avenue. We moved in 1949, and our first acquisition was a German Shepherd. We named him Rex. He used to guard the house, or pretend to, and he fetched groceries for us once in a while. And he fetched the paper. See, we don't even have a sidewalk there. Everything's very rustic. And he liked to look out the window and guard the house from inside as well. A lovely dog he was. Heard of that old song, Just Molly and Me, and Baby Makes Three? Well, it was Ken and me, and Terry made three. And she joined us in July 1951. And here's a couple of pictures of her as a little one. And then she was sitting on here she's at the beach. And later she was to sit on a horse, pretend horse, on a trip we were on. And then she was at the beach with Mummy, laughing her little head off. And I think it was probably about Parksville. There's our Austin. We got that about when Terry was about 2. We finally got a car. Then Mark enters our life in April 1954. I forgot for a minute. And there's Terry, proud, very proud of her new little brother, beaming her head off. And there he is with his dad. This was on Father's Day. And there they are at Christmas, Mark's first Christmas, our spindly Christmas tree. And there's Terry with Mark in his stroller. She's probably going to take him for a little pretend walk anyhow. And they're nice little kind of Easter outfits. I didn't make them, I wasn't a knitter, but they had Easter bunnies on them. Mark with his first car, pedal car that is. Yeah, I guess he was always car crazy. And here's a cute one of them sitting in our front room, giggling about something, happy as ever. And Mark was always kissing me as a little guy. He just loved to kiss his mummy.
I don't blame you.
No, really. And this is a Halloween pumpkin time. I think we grew all those pumpkins for some reason. And this is Easter. They're all dressed up and got their Easter baskets in front of a car of ours. And up island at Qualicum, I think, or Qualicum Beach Falls probably. Mark frowning. And Mark dressed up once again. See, he loves his little hat and tie and leather jacket.
And our Ford.
And this one I love. I just love this one. That's a nice picture. And then Terry had to have a knee operation on her knees. And these are all the nurses. And this is just before we went back east. Our final picture there.
This is 1961.
Yeah. Okay, you can take off for that, Ken. That's when Olive and...
Yeah, 1961, Olive and Valerie visited us, and we had a picture of them taken up on the top of the Malahat. And there's Mark and myself and Olive out at
island somewhere.
One of the campsites, yeah. And now we're into some movies here with Mark pushing Terry on a rope swing in our garden.
This was at some picnic.
This was a family outing with all the family. Dorothy, I think that is,
yes.
I'm sure, and Uncle Bill trying to get the fire going. This was at the same time that Olive and Valerie were visiting with us. So, just a nice outing at the beach.
I think it was Patricia Bay Beach, actually. Yeah.
Or Deep Cove, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, barbecuing.
Oh, game of ball. Reggie was the catcher, and
no,
that was a
Mark.
Was Mark? Was it?
Yeah, Mark.
It was
Yeah,
Mark. Yeah.
He's up to bat, running.
Well, he got 2 hits there. And we're walking, I don't know where we are here exactly.
Oh, I think over in Vancouver. Yeah, yeah. Near that bridge.
Oh,
Yeah.
Capilano. Was it
Capilano,
Capilano
yeah.
Canyon?
Mhm,
Probably, yeah. Lynette and I go on holiday with Terry and Mark in the summer of 1962. First stop, Seattle World's Fair.
Come and listen to my story about a man named Jed, a poor mountaineer, barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground come a bubbling crude.
The next stop was Ianch, BC, where my sister Kay lived, and I was born. I hadn't been back there since I was 4 years old, so it was quite exciting.
Said California is the place you ought to be, so they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly Hills, that is, swimming pools, movie stars. Well, now it's time to say goodbye to Jed and all his kin, and they would like to thank you folks for kindly dropping in. You're all invited back again to this locality to have a heap in heaven of their hospitality. Hillbilly, that is, set a spell, take your shoes off. Y'all come back now here.
On our way home, we made one or two stops by the side of lakes and different spots just for a rest and to see the scenery. And
That's in Barkerville.
yeah, walking through Barkerville, and then suddenly we're in Kamloops, hot evening by the river.
Terry's got the sun in her eyes there. Yeah. Still, it was a beautiful sunlit evening, wasn't it? Oh, there we are.
We're in a ranch here at Kelowna, and we've got the trailer parked in their field, and Terry and Mark are enjoying the horses and get a chance to have a little ride on a horse.
I think it was, well, Mark had a little ride up at Kay's, but it was the first time Terry'd been on a horse, I think. Oh, me preening again.
Oops, splash. Mark goes into the water at Lake Okanagan. Doing his
Dog paddle,
yeah,
kind of.
dog.
You haven't,
Yeah,
you haven't taken lessons yet. I don't
the overhand was yet to come. Terry's counting how long she can hold her breath. And now they're both displaying their prowess at floating, dead man's float.
Oh, another one of me.
Another-
I get so fed up with these pictures, but Ken was always taking pictures
Yeah.
of me.
That's why we put them on here, because Lynette's fed up with them.
there's
Oh,
one-
here I'm
yeah.
going to go to swim across the lake. And here, oh, more
Family picture.
basking in the sun,
Yeah.
on the sand. I've just come back from swimming across the lake.
Great resting.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Mark floating. Doing his proper, no, is that his dog paddle? Dog paddle.
I think
yeah.
he's actually got his hands on the bottom.
But love that haircut. Isn't that cute? Right in style these days. We're going back home and we're going out to some do, all dressed up, in front of that picture we used to have on the wall. And that's sports day up at,
This is a school up
yeah,
at
there's
campus.
Mark. Looks like he's, oh, he's coming in last. Never mind, he tried. Terry and her friend Susan jumping up and down, so excited.
I guess the school one, even though Mark came in last.
Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe. Oh, back
Oh, weeding the
home.
garden. We were always weeding the front there. We'd take them out and they were up again the next year, it seemed.
Yeah. We were stupid to have all
Big
that.
project that was.
Yeah.
We had 200 feet of waterfront. Or
Waterfront. I wish.
A boulevard.
Oh, this is the great ping pong caper. Terry and her friend Penny Schaefer.
They were
Playing.
trying to find the ball. Oh, she got it.
That time she did.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun on that patio. Many, many happy times. Grown-ups and kids. And oh, now this is cute.
There it is.
She
It's in
loses
front
the
of her,
ball.
and it's behind her. There it is. Nope,
She
nope,
goes
she got
around
it.
and then she gets annoyed.
And then in a while she's going to tell us what the score is, I think. And how many games she's won. There. It's all lawn now, where that we used to play.
But it was nice
table
when the
tennis.
kids were growing up. Have all their friends over. Oh, there's me again.
Miss Preen. Yeah.
Yes, and I've got great abs there, see? Abs being, you know, the abdominal muscles there.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Oh.
Our unfinished rockery. Look
Yeah.
at that mess.
Yeah, we've worked very, very hard on that house.
The mess behind Lynette, that is. Oh,
Where
now
are we
here
now?
we
Oh,
are.
Parksville, I think.
Yeah.
And this great scene where Mark has to go to the bathroom, and he's hoping no one's watching. Anyhow, he made it.
Ooh, those.
It must have been very hard walking across those rocks
They were either hot or they were sharp, those rocks.
and getting dried off at the end of the day.
And Mum's in a hurry to go home.
Yes. Oh, Mark pretending
These
to
are
lift
these huge weights that Mark's lifting, 50 pounds each.
little plastic
Yeah.
things. I don't think they
Oops.
even belong to us. And back home, and more pictures being taken of me performing.
Who were you throwing that ball to,
I
anyhow?
don't know. Somebody must have been throwing it back.
Yeah, we never saw who that was, did we?
Yeah, saying something. Somebody.
Oh,
threw
now
it.
we got 1, 2,
2,
3,
3,
a Larry.
4, 5, 6, a Larry. I have to see if I.
That was good exercise. You
Yes,
should
it
do
was.
that now.
Oh, well, it's like
Poor old
learning to
Belgish.
ride a bike. You never forget how to do 1, 2, 3, a Larry. I don't know whether the kids do it these days.
No,
Oh, now I'm trying it on the sidewalk.
much
Yeah.
better on the side.
You see, I felt I had to keep performing because Ken had the movie camera going.
Now she's
so-
going to show off. You watch this crafty behind. Oh, behind. That was clever, wasn't it? Yes, you finished yet? I'll throw
Yeah.
a ball in the air again. No. Bell.
Oh, now we're at Hornby Island.
This is a little raft we made up for the kids to play around on.
Or we found it there. Did we take a
I don't
hammer
know
with
whether-
us?
I can't remember. Well, we'll say for the sake of the story that we built it. That's, yeah.
Anyhow, they had a great time. It
And
was-
Mark had this pole. He couldn't go out any farther than the length of the pole.
Oh, no.
Back at
Well,
Shawnigan
at least
Lake.
you're in that one.
Shawnigan Lake. And Miss America again.
Oh, no.
Now she's rowing.
I really can row, and I enjoy rowing.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Mark up on water skis for the
Whoops.
first time. Doing very well. And there's with cousin Wendy, taking her for a little ride in the boat. This was great fun for them because they'd never done anything like this before. And Uncle Reggie, that's Ken's brother, with
With
his
Dennis.
son Dennis, Mark's cousin. And here they're waiting for
These were neighbors.
Dennis to get up on skis,
Whoop,
and he's
flop.
down.
Oh. And this is the son of one of the people that were living next door to us.
He was an expert.
Humphreys. Yeah, he was very good.
Terry and her friend Susan Taptree, and Terry's taking Susan for a row. Terry attacked everything with great vigor, determination. There we go.
He was
Susan.
making sure. You should have worked for BC Ferries, you know, parking.
And this is our completed rockery, you know, we were working on so far.
Springtime, definitely, with all those flowers.
And then when we changed later, many years, oh no, it doesn't matter. There's old Belle. After a bath, I guess she's looking a little scruffy there. But
I think it's probably before that. Oh, Mark broke his arm, tripped over a dog.
yeah.
Neighbor's dog tripped him. So that was a little experience.
And just a pose in front of the house for some reason. And oh, we used to have great fun
I
at
made
parties.
a gorilla costume, and
Well, your mom made the woolly
Mom made it,
part.
and I made the face. And we had parties, and there's Bill Ray looking through a toilet seat. We were always doing some kind of a game. There's a gut bucket, Phil Ellis on the old gut bucket, like a bass fiddle type of thing.
It was a glamorous black dress I had.
Was that the same night? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. Could be. Oh, Ken
wait,
dancing.
Maxie
Ken
dancing.
dancing. Now
Dancing.
that
Oh,
is. Put a mark on the
something.
wall for that.
Yeah. And now we're off back east in 65 to get a car. This is before we got on the train in Vancouver.
Ken loved train tracks. Pictures about train tracks. This is only a portion of it.
Yeah. Suddenly we're in Ontario. I remember it was Ontario, something to do with the lakes or Lake District or something. There was lots of water. We seemed to be going around this water area for the longest time.
It was nice and clean.
This is Mactier, Ontario, where the family, Mom and Dad, were many, many years ago. And we went to visit an old friend there.
There's Mark. Now he's really learned to do the
Yeah.
overhand. Took lessons.
This
so-
is at a motel swimming pool.
Mhm.
We're in Toronto at this point.
We were really living it up, I tell you.
Yeah. And now we've gone to Georgian Bay to see a friend of Lynette's, Reenie, who used to live in Victoria, and he lives there now. So that was a lot of fun. At least we had nice weather then, didn't
Mhm.
everything seemed
Yeah.
to hit just right.
Reggie. Margaret. Reggie's our sister-in-law. Reggie again. I think Margaret and then Dennis.
Reggie couldn't have gone in the water there, could he? Didn't
Maybe
see him.
not.
Now the kids are really over drying for the sake of the movies. It seemed that if you had a movie, you had to make everybody move and do something.
Well, that's the idea.
And so they're really going to town here on their feet and their hair and making a big production. Oh, Niagara Falls. Well, lots of mist. We went out on the Maid of the Mist here,
Mm-hmm.
and it was quite an experience.
But the
to go into
roar, the
falls.
sound of the falls.
Yeah, we should have some waterfall sounds there. Coming off the Maid of the Mist. And this is where we ate in the restaurant and we had dirty forks.
Yeah, right.
Got them to take
Now,
me back.
we're at McTaggart's when they live back
Yeah, in
east.
Toronto.
You're pouring a beer and getting every good to the last drop. Oh, I think you did this for the picture. Looks
No, I
like.
never. There's Betty McTaggart. And there's Mac. I was in India with Mac.
And now we're
Now
leaving.
we're leaving them.
Waving bye-bye. And they're standing. They had a second family. They had the two older ones and the two little ones.
Now in Detroit, that's Cousin Ernest.
So we all went
Margaret.
back on the train, both families, to buy cars. And it's nice to have that trip together and to meet cousins that we'd never met before. It was lovely. They were very, very good to us. Oh, Reggie always said that.
Then we went out in their boat, and Ernest wanted to take me over to the Canadian side on the lake there. And of course, I ran the boat aground and had to go over and fix it.
Well, he kept telling you it's okay, okay. Now we're in a barbecue in their backyard with all their families.
He's making fun of me moving the zoom on the camera.
Oh.
Oh, and some dancing in the backyard.
Hmm.
And then Ernest and Peg, they were good dancers. They went out a lot dancing, and they used to love it. Now we're in
In another motel
pool
yes.
on our way home. We
We were-
enjoyed that pool. That was a lot of
We
fun.
were really living
And we had very nice, we had hot weather, and it was just ideal
Terry.
for that type of a trip. It's always nice at the end of the day to stop at a motel and have a pool. Now we're in Winnipeg with Tom Ball, who I was also in India with, briefly in Bombay when we transferred to the airport.
That's either whipped
Canadian
cream or
Air Force.
sugar. I think it's whipped cream, I hope. There's an awful lot of sugar. It's an awful lot of everything. And that's Mary, Tom's wife. She really provided a lovely meal.
And we're around Edmonton here, I think,
yeah,
a zoo.
place there.
And then up to Banff. There's a Sulphur Mountain. going for a walk up the mountain, and we're all very happy and getting along well here.
Our first fight, Ken and I.
And look at the nice pictures that Lynette took of me. She did it perfectly. Everything was just right, and I didn't have to worry about whether she was using the right buttons. Now we're home. And
I still don't know who looked after Belle.
Belle then doesn't matter anyhow, but
Yeah.
Belle was there when we got back, and she was sure glad to see us.
Yeah.
And we were glad to be home again.
Ken, of course, is
That was a good trip.
the end.
We loved that trip.
I knew that was on there somewhere. Oh, now
Now
it's
it's time to wash Bill. He hasn't been washed since we've been away,
She.
I guess. Or
She
she,
hasn't
all
been
right,
washed.
she. Well, what's an S?
Makes a big difference to the dog. We had this little metal dishpan thing we washed her in.
I gotta lift him up. Ooh, that was heavy.
Her up.
Her up. Okay, him, her, what to do? He might just as well have been either. He didn't seem to do much. She didn't seem to do much.
Poor Belle. She was rather elderly. I think she was 11 years old when we got her.
Yeah.
So
She loved.
you needed a shave.
She loved to have a nice bath, though.
Yeah. See?
It's the camera angle. I
No,
think it's
you
just,
needed a shave.
Well, I was squeezing in my busy schedule, you know, having to go to work, watch the dog, and trying to fit in time to shave and everything. It was,
And taking
busy.
pictures of me.
yeah.
Right. When you rinsing her off with a
Ooh,
teacup.
doesn't he look all... She look all flippity flop. She was kind of what you call a dormant dog, wasn't she? So,
Or a doormat.
yeah. Oh, he's getting double rinse here. It's just not a flicker out of her, you know. That could have been anything poured on her. Hot water, cold water, vinegar. Oh, well, I think I'll just...
Now Terry's giving her a good rub. She did look lovely for about an hour.
She had a nice coat when it was all nice and clean and fluffy.
There.
There's a nice bright smile. Oh, look, action. Good job it was going down and not up.
Oh, then there's a lovely picture.
Yeah, Belle.
And Ginger the cat and Belle
And Ginger,
and
yeah.
Mark.
Oh, there's a nice picture, too.
We used to have a lot of tulip bulbs. We bought a lot, hundreds of them, planted them all
Yeah.
out.
I'm glad we got that picture of you. We don't have very many of you.
That's right.
Oh, there's another one of you, yeah.
Oh, I think I'm pulling dandelions.
We had a very colorful garden, I must say, in the
Yeah,
front there. It was very nice.
A lot of work, but it paid off.
Yeah.
England swings like a pendulum do. Bobby's on bicycles 2x2. Westminster Abbey, the Tower of Big Ben, the rosy red cheeks of the little children. Now if you huff and puff and you finally save enough money up to take your family on a trip across the sea, take the tip before you take your trip. Let me tell you where to go. Go to England, oh, England.
Here we are in Chelmsford, England. My first trip back to England since the war. We're with my Uncle Jimmy, Uncle Sid, we know him as Jimmy, and his family, Valerie and Nora, his wife, in their back garden, enjoying the sunshine. It was fun being back in England and meeting them. And now we are off to Harwich to take a ferry across to the Hook of Holland, which is a little peninsula out a little ways from Amsterdam. And after we dock there, then we go into Amsterdam. We're on the ferry here, walking the deck and anticipating our wonderful time on the continent.
Okay, now we're in, after we picked our car up, and then we're going to Amsterdam. And this was a Renault, or Renault, whichever you want to say. Here we are. We're going, candid camera pictures taken by a guy. We're going to go on the canal trip. Terry looks, oh, there we are. Looking typical tourist. It was a lovely trip on that canal.
One of the trips, I think, took us out to Rotterdam, as I remember, the docks, the famous docks. And that was interesting to see all the ships out there.
Hard to realize there's all these canals, going through the town. I think we're going to either
We're approaching Anne Frank's house, I think, or else we're coming back to, no, we're coming back to our hotel. Yeah, there's our
there's
hotel,
more.
Mark going in. Now, everyone rode bicycles, it seemed, everywhere, right through town.
Businessmen, housewives with their shopping, and maybe secretaries. There's a mother with her 2 kids going through that traffic. I couldn't get over that. There's Anne Frank's house.
Yeah, Anne Frank, you'll remember from World War II. And
We went actually went up and saw where she hid out, and the family hid. This is the Autobahn.
Autobahn in Germany. Yeah, we're heading into Bavaria. We heard a lot about that place in Rotterdam.
Some lady taking her bread home for dinner. That's the Eiffel Tower.
We went right to the, well, we didn't go to the top. We went to about the 3rd level, I think
Yeah.
it was. Most interesting.
All the mechanics of it, too.
So there's Mark and Terry up on the 3rd level looking down over Paris. A great view. If the weather's clear, it's a wonderful viewpoint to look all over Paris.
Champs-Élysées. Oh, Harry Disbrow know how to
Harry,
pronounce
know,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
And suddenly our trip's over in the continent.
We're
back
home
to
in
Chelmsford with Valerie and her friend of that time in their back garden. It was nice to be back there, though, and have a home-cooked meal with Jimmy and Nora. And then we found ourselves later on going into London and walking through the streets and
The
going
kids
down.
wanted to see Carnaby Street. They'd heard all about it, so down we went. It was all right, a bit crowded and some exciting shops for young people, I guess.
It was the era of the short skirts.
Right.
They'd just been introduced.
Then we went to visit Aunt Maud in Pinner, just outside of London. She's Ken's mother's sister. Dear old soul. Just delightful. There she is with Mark. Mark's looking a little bit uncomfortable, but he's putting up with it. She's such a sweetheart. As a matter of fact, we have a bit of a tape with Maud speaking on it, which is very nice to have and nice to look back on.
To understand this all our talking. We've had a lovely evening, and I do hope you're going to have a good night's rest now after this.
Oh, and Mark and Ken went to Battersea Park.
Yeah, Battersea Park, and we posed for these pictures. And this was the day of the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace in London.
Yeah.
And now another day we went out to Windsor Castle.
Hampton Court.
Hampton Court? I thought it was Windsor Castle.
Get it right.
Okay, all right. I thought we went to Windsor, but okay.
They were walking along. Yeah, beautiful grounds. We didn't think that much of the building itself, did we? Oh, this was the family gathering at Laurie and Marjorie's.
No, it wasn't. This is, yeah, it was at their gathering,
Yeah.
but it's Brian and Lenore we're looking at here. Brian has passed on now,
Yeah.
and his wife Lenore, who we still correspond with. And Uncle Bill was on this visit with us. And was that Angela?
That's Angela.
Angela. That's Bill. Not sure where he is.
Oh, well, they'll all parade by after, but there's everybody there.
They're all
Nora,
Stofers, anyhow.
Yeah, all Stofers. Nora and Terry taking pictures of people, and Ken Brooks and Nigel and Angela and Valerie. Yeah, it was a lovely time seeing them all. And now we're having
Nora
the parade
Bill.
by. Nora and Bill, Ken and
Me, you, us.
Kissy Poo.
Yeah.
And
There's Ardell and Ivy, wasn't it? Edie.
Olive's mom.
All of them. Aunt Nell and Marjorie.
Yeah.
And Laurie's father on the back side there with Brian.
This won't mean anything to forthcoming generations.
That's Marjorie.
Yeah.
And
Rob's wife. He's a cousin. And Jennifer, that's Angela's sister. And
Martin.
And David. And David has since passed away.
He was killed in a plane crash.
Yeah, sadly. That's his mom.
Eileen,
Ken's cousin. Her son, another son.
Nigel. There's
her
Ken
husband,
himself, the lawyer,
Ken
the solicitor.
Yes. And Angela again, doing her little...
Angela Lakeswalk. There's Brian and one of the children. I don't know whether it's Mark or whether it's Paul. Yeah.
And Olive's mother. Olive is another cousin, and that's...
Cousin Eric.
And that's Lori, that's Marjorie's husband. And Uncle Jimmy and his sister.
And Eva.
Yeah.
Eva, my Aunt
Doreen's
Eva.
mother, yeah. We're getting ready to take off on our own, and Valerie's taking a picture of Mark and Terry. It's quite cute. And then she sent us a copy of it, and look, it turned out really good. Look at the kids in those sunglasses. They thought they were really cool. And then we put a maple leaf on the back of our rented car so that all the people in Britain would be aware. Then we were going through Chester, and we see this lady directing traffic, looking very officious, didn't she? Telling everybody where to go. Oh, and then we got to Hadrian's Wall. Now, this was a big thrill for Mark. He'd read about it in school and heard about it.
Built by the Romans,
Yeah.
Roman times.
Yeah, he's walking along. I don't know what those white... Oh, and then we had a friend, daughter of a friend of Ken's he was in the services with, and she toured us around York, the walled city. So that was a fascinating time. Very nice of her. And then we got to Stonehenge. We've missed... You may think we've missed a lot, but we just showing the highlights. And
We were here with my Aunt Ethel on the left there, and my Uncle Len on the right. Uncle Len is...
another brother of your dad.
Yeah, Jimmy's brother to my dad's brother.
They all look alike, don't they?
Stonehenge we were able to walk right into in those days.
And then we went down into London, and we're in Trafalgar Square feeding the pigeons. I thought that was great, them all landing on... And Mark, look at him. Pigeons
They got all over Mark. I don't know whether he's wearing a lot of badges there or not.
Yeah,
or
it's white stuff.
Pigeons badges, I guess you'd call them. Even
One on his head.
One make a nest, I think, there.
And then he climbed up on
one
those
of
lions in
Lions in
Trafalgar
Trafalgar Square.
It was quite an experience for the kids. He's all dressed. Oh, now we're home.
We're home again.
All over. And Reggie's helping us unpack there.
And Uncle Bill, he's still not sure where he is.
Still in a daze. Poor Uncle Bill. I think he was a bit senile at the time.
And it sure was good to be home. I said phew when I got home. And
the end, of course. While we were in England in 1967, we became extremely fond of Welsh corgis. And so we decided to give the kids a little puppy for Christmas, and we named him Jimmy. He was the sweetest little thing and added a lot of fun to our lives. There's Terry holding him and loving him and enjoying him. This is a family gathering. I forget what it was about. My dad's in the front with Uncle Gordy behind, and myself and Ken, and Terry, and Mabel and Ken, my brother, and Reg and Marion, and my brother Les, and in the front Pam and her brother Calvin, and they're the children of Reg and Marion. This is another happening. Ken gave away this Anita in proxy. Her dad lived in England and couldn't come out for the marriage, and we'd become very, very fond of her and have still good connections with her.
This is the floral tribute to my brother Reg, who sadly died at an early age of 58 in 1968. He was quite a musician, playing the guitar, yodeling, and singing, and doing musical acts. He was so good he went to New York City and performed a Major Bowes amateur hour and traveled with one of their units back east for a little while. This is one of the costumes he used to wear. Here's Reg with his son Dennis rowing on Shawnigan Lake. And now we're back east visiting, and Mark's in front, I'm behind, Reg's wife's Margaret's in front, and Reggie's behind. Then there's Lynette and Terry, and Dennis is behind, and we think Wendy's peeking through. This is at MacTier, Ontario, myself and Mark, and Reggie and Dennis. Reggie meets his cousin Ernest in Detroit.
This is Christmas 1968, I believe, And Valerie was living with us. And so we're all in the living room there. And the kids gave me a pantyhose stocking, so I got double prezzies. Very nice. My brother Les in the typical position. He's probably had a little bit too much.
Sitting in front of the lake in our front room.
Yeah.
My mom, Irene Violet Scott Stofer.
She looks lovely. It's a very nice picture of her. And then we took Jimmy and Nora up to Ianch on the Nass River. And that's me and Arlene and her little guy and Jimmy and Nora and Terry and Ken.
That's where Kay lives.
Yes, did live.
Did live. She passed on. Valerie and Dave sitting on her front steps, and they've just become engaged.
Yeah, they're very nice, happy. And this is the last day or so of Jimmy and Nora's visit, and they're going back to Britain. And Terry, on our patio, for some reason, we're taking a picture of her for something, I'm not sure.
I don't know if it's the same day, because she was crying when they left. Here's Mark and his Gordon Head Band uniform. And here he is again in his Mount Doug High Band uniform.
Well, he wouldn't smile because teenagers have to look pretty, stern and
Yeah.
manly.
And here's me, Ken, dressed as the Queen. All our relatives in England loved it.
They did not. They thought it was disgusting.
Oh, and our new Buick. We got a nice new car, a Buick, and enjoyed it very, very much. A gas guzzler, though.
This is a triple baby shower I put on. Mary and Brian, Valerie and Matt, and Grandma, Mabel, holding little Tammy. This is a wedding shower I put on for Terry's friend Susan Tatry. And this is Ken and I sitting on Mark's motorbike. Don't we look like we're going places?
A motorbike we didn't want him to have.
Yeah. And there he's very proud of it all with his sideburns and his smart hair. Liked his hair, didn't he? Oh, and he's cleaning the bike, polishing all the chrome, and he's a very, very busy guy there. Oh, here he comes.
Oh, here he comes. Up a driveway. Rum, rum. Fast, fast. And here's
Little Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Yeah, oh, isn't he sweet? Little red nose.
Oh, Mark's running fast. A big getaway here. They're running from the cops, I guess. Into the car, start it quick. Is he going to start? And away he goes, roaring down the road, round the corner, breaking the speed limit. And here's our front garden. And I'm starting to work on the planter, the trellis, partially finished. And here's our house before the top went on.
Yeah, right. Like a
And
cave.
our front bare rock garden, yeah.
And this
Now
is-
it's in all its glory.
Yeah, it's not like that now.
No.
Changed it again. And Dennis got married, didn't he? And Grandma Stofer, she wasn't very well, but she insisted on dressing up.
Dennis and Elaine.
Dennis and Elaine, yeah.
Here they go. Off on their honeymoon. Here I am with Uncle Jimmy explaining how to work a whippersnipper.
I think you were both trying to figure it out.
Yeah. We finally did, though. And then after I'd got it sorted, I gave a demonstration, and then he tried it. I think he was going to get one. Now I'm mixing cement, more cement for the rock wall I'm building.
You did a good job of that. Still standing.
Didn't quite know what I was doing, but it turned out all right. I'm actually using a level here. I don't know why.
Ken and Eileen were out on a visit from England, and we had a picture taken. There's myself and Ken and Eileen and Margaret, Mary, Kelly, Ken, Ryan, and Robbie.
And not to forget,
Oh, the dog.
Jimmy.
Jimmy. He's right there. And this is Ken's friend Tom Ball and his wife Mary, and they were
Jimmy.
out on a visit.
Jimmy on her lap.
That's right. And this is when Terry and Jim got married. Not a Jimmy, but a Jim. Got engaged out there, or got to know each other. And this is their little wedding
It's your
photograph.
Wedding day. Yeah.
Sadly, this marriage did not last, but too bad. And this is the wedding group.
Mark, Terry, Lynette, and me.
That's right. The
And then there's Lynette again.
Oh,
with
you have
Ken
my
Priestley.
sister and my two brothers.
Yeah. Kay and Les.
I'm gonna sit right down and write myself a letter.
Immediately after the war, my first full-time job was with the Victoria Post Office. I enjoyed my time there, from rising from postal clerk up to public relations officer, taking part in many of the silly little events we used to put on representing the post office and parades and things like that, and going out playing golf with the lads and having a good time in general while I was there. And one of our banquet meetings, and going back to Ottawa with some of the public relations guys when I was in public relations. That was a lot of fun, quite interesting. And enjoying people around the office, meeting lots of very interesting people in radio and television, and taking part in presentation ceremonies. It was a very interesting job, lots of fun, lots of things to do, and lots of banquets. Oh yeah, post office parties. And visiting people from Ottawa and offices, different business offices around, explaining, and going to Confederation Heights, and enjoyed that time seeing Ottawa and all the baloney there. And then finally leading up to retirement, and my last day leaning on the mailbags.
This is a get-together. We decided we better have a good family picture, so we...
Before dinner picture.
Yeah.
We're going out to dinner.
Now, this is at Christmas, 1976.
Yes, Terry and Jim.
Yeah. Oh, something in there.
What's something?
Oh, and Mark gives Carol her engagement ring. And they're both so... Well, she's really excited.
He had trouble getting it on, I
right.
think, by the looks of it.
Yeah. Happy days. And I must have asked the Disbros to come for Christmas dinner. And there's Isabel and Ina and Harry coming in there. And Jamie, their other daughter.
Right, Jamie.
Yeah. No, they're all
Ken Priestley.
This is when we went the next day, I think Boxing Day, over to
Day.
Ken's.
Yeah.
And there's, all the rest of the family. Maybone, Arlene, and my brother, Ken. And this Mark's and Carol's engagement announcement. And the shower they put on.
Peekaboo. And Carol. And
Her mom.
Carol's mom sitting down and Carol standing. Now the girls do a little dance.
A can, kind of.
Yeah, I call it a can't.
Right. And now Mark and Carol are opening our wedding present, which was a gift of saucepans, And looks like a check, possibly, I think.
I don't know.
Margaret's decorating the wedding cake. She did a beautiful job.
She always does a good job,
Yeah.
Margaret.
And the boys washing the car ready for the wedding. Mark Porter, Rick Wardle, and Scott.
They're having fun, making sure everything's right. Now the signing of the register. Mark and Carol.
Rick Wardle and Lorraine and Mark Porter.
And now the bride and groom depart on a lovely sunny day.
Well, they're going to Beacon Hill Park to have pictures taken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Arrival in Beacon Hill Park. Lynette and I walking up. And here come the bride and groom, Mark and Carol. Happy.
More kisses. All right.
Well, gotta.
And Marion, Evie, and Lorraine. And Scott, and
Well, yeah.
me and Terry arriving, and Alan and Lillian. Now they're arriving at the...
Princess Mary restaurant.
Yeah. Gorgeous dress.
Here come the
Just
bride and
gorgeous
groom.
Dress. And now they're going inside, on with their life. On our honeymoon, we visited Knott's Berry Farm in Los Angeles and posed with these stone creatures. And then Mark and Carol went on their honeymoon and did the same thing. And I thought that was really cute that we both did that. And then, darned if we didn't return in 1978 and did it again. So it's really interesting how it turned out. Now we're at Point No Point with the Disbros, trying to play with frisbees.
which is a lot of fun, of course. There goes Harry with a big throw, and Lynette throws to Isabel.
We were hopeless.
There we go. Oh, Lynette missed it.
Look at those legs, all nice and chubby. Whoop. There we go.
Hooray!
Now Mark and Carol go in, they're in North Vancouver, and there's a tennis court nearby, and they look like real experts, don't they?
Yeah, look like professionals. There's Carol. Zoom.
What a smash.
And bam.
Very good.
And whack. And crash. Oh, Mark hardly get that one from Carol. You got that one. Oh, boy.
This is my dad, Arthur Priestley, with his family. I'm the baby on the right, at the bottom. He's on his 90th birthday, and this is the cake they gave him on his 90th birthday. This is him with his my son, my brother Ken, his wife Mabel, their daughter Carol, and the great-grandchildren. This is the kitchen, our kitchen as it used to be. I did the best I could with it, but it's much better, nicer now. And this is the living room as it was. We had the fireplace all redone and, of course, different furniture. And this is Carol's mom, Lillian, and myself, and we almost look like sisters, I always say. And this is a dress I made, a little bit tight, but that's the way it was. That's the way I was. And Mark and Carol at Christmas, and I'm opening a present. I forget which year this was. Oh, and a dressing gown they gave me. This is our corgi Jimmy, and he's opening a Christmas present. And I think that's Terry behind him. And a nice fireplace going, real live one, not a gas one. There's Mark and Carol on a ski trip, and looking very happy. I think there's a professional. There comes Mark. Thinks he is anyhow. And we had a garage sale. Look at it. Oh, and that's my mom's old sewing machine. And our little dog watching everything. And then we went to the Grand Canyon. Look how slim I am. Oh boy, what a chick. And there is the Grand Canyon. I never thought in my life I'd ever get to see it. It's just superb. And then Ken built a greenhouse in our backyard, and this is kind of messy here, but we were preparing it all. And this is more or less, we're looking back the other way.
And I've got my shirt off. Amazing, isn't it? Eh? Yes. Summer must be a hot day.
The Stofers and the Nevilles decided to go camping at Mount Baker. Quite nice to think that both in-laws got along so well that we could spend a few days together. It was really fun, very much fun. We're setting out all the food. Still unpacking. Now they're setting up the tents, I think. Yes, Mark and Carol. And Alan's got a rock he's using instead of a hammer. And now they're doing something. Now we're still eating. We're still eating and enjoying. Oh, it was just gorgeous.
We had a nice hike up a trail up into Mount Baker, up high. Lower Bagley Lake. Now we're going for a hike.
And most of us had not the right shoes. You know, I think Carol had sandals. I don't know what we expected. I didn't expect snow. And you look at the damsel in distress being helped down by the... And you know, lots of snow. And yet it was pleasant out, you know, warm. Having a nice picnic with all the snow around. Perfect day. Mount Baker, 1978. Christmas 1978 was a very special Christmas to me. I'd just come out of hospital. I'd had a very serious operation, an ileostomy, and I was very weak and very emotional and at the same time very happy. And I know what Ken's doing there. I know that Mark and Carol gave me a wheelbarrow because they know I love to garden, and this was just to encourage me to get my strength back and get out in that garden. I was so happy to be home. Now Terry's opening some big present from Jim. I think I know what it is. And Electrolux. And now we're over at the Nevilles. They asked us to come because I wasn't up to cooking Christmas dinner, they had to carry me up the steps. Alan and Mark carried me up the steps on a chair. And they were kind enough to invite some of my family. And there's Marion, I believe, playing, and Mark playing the trumpet. And, they always liked to do a little entertaining. Everybody took a part. And, I know, Alan had a friend there who played the violin, and his wife was helping on the piano, or singing possibly. Carol was singing. And the men had to harmonize, which Ken did not like too much. But there he is on the end, trying to sing in tune. We Three Kings, yes.
And solo.
Yes, you did. And then Alan's dancing with one of his daughters, which he just loves to do. And all the Englishmen seem to know how to dance. And Mark having another trumpet duo with Marion. And Alan entertaining in a southwester hat. I forget what he was singing. Something.
Probably when I'm washing windows.
Well, yeah, it could have been. I think he's got a tennis racket as a guitar. Yeah, and Dennis came down with Vanessa. Wasn't she sweet? Oh. And now he's got grandchildren of his own. Isn't she cute? And I had to prove that I was capable and strong enough to walk up the stairs and turn around and come back down again, and I was very proud of myself. I was so weak. Wish I was that thin now. Oh well. I was not very old, 58 or something, I think. There's Vanessa again.
The year is 1979, and Lynette and I are off to England on our 4th trip. We rent a car and we're traveling in the south of England, and this is an Irish wolfhound. We go and see Linda, sister of Anita. Here we are in Chelmsford, and I meet my old RAF buddies, Eric Folgo and his wife, and Don Locke and his wife, and Lynette and myself. Here's Fred Norsworthy. He was my best man at our wedding, and he's helping me take down an oak tree in our yard. Quite an undertaking. He's chopping, me pulling.
Here's Mark and I on top of Mount Seymour. The jacket I'm wearing with a lovely hood I purchased in Spain on one of our trips, and later on I was to pass it on to my granddaughters. Here I am with a load of stuff on a sleigh. The story was I had a short job with the Elections Act, and I had a lot of documents I had to get ready, and it snowed, and I had to return them to Mackenzie and Shelbourne, and it was, the only way I could get it there, we didn't take the car out, was to pull it on a sleigh. This is Oon Alting with our daughter Terry. Oon was a Dutch lady and very interesting person, never put down her cigarette. She was the ice cream lady of Saanich, drove around a little truck. See the ice cream cones on the corner of her cake? And she would say in her way, you don't want a piece of my cake, do you?
We have many oak trees on our property when Lynette and I first moved out, and we decided to thin out a little bit and take some of them down because oak is a great firewood, and time we were finished we had stacks of it, and we're glad we did it now, of course, but it was a lot of work at the time. As you can see, I'm using an old handsaw and the small stuff there. I did have a chainsaw, an old yellow one. I think it belonged to Lynette, trimming some oak off. That was going to be for kindling, all that stuff, believe it or not. Didn't waste anything. Good exercise too, building up her muscles. Loading the wheelbarrow for me to wheel away. And of course, while we're doing all this, our little dog Jimmy was in the picture. There's some stacks of oak there. We had lots and lots of oak, as you can see. I mentioned Jimmy. I know he's around here somewhere. He's probably looking for somewhere to bury a bone. You can't bury it there. You can't move all that oak. We sure had lots of it. Lots of work. pile's getting bigger, adding more and more to it all the time. It's piled right against the side of the house there. There's a fortune in wood there. Of course, everything's gas fires today. There's the old yellow McCullough chainsaw. That was a heavy thing to handle, but it did the job. Here's our old cement mixer in the corner there. That cup part. There's Jimmy. Miller. There's Miller. He's bearing. No, that's Miller. That's Jimmy. That's Jimmy. Yeah, they look so much alike. Mind you, that's a few years ago. I'll just bury my bone here. Yeah, that's a good place. Oh no, I'll take it over here. No, they're watching me. I'll go over here. Oh, now I got it. Right at the foot of an oak, nice and safe by a giant oak. I'll use my nose on this one. Yes. Oh boy, I can hardly wait. Num to get in there. Oh, I think I'll take it out of there. I changed my mind. No, it's not. Wait, whoops. No, am I burying it or am I digging it up? Ooh, I love these oak leaves. They tickle my nose when I do that. Yeah, push. Oop, got too much. Well, there was a big change in our neighborhood in the 1980. All the old houses below us that I knew as a kid growing up and going to school were all being removed to build a new apartment building on one side and of Kisber, and on the other side a mall. We took a lot of pictures of this because this is history just disappearing in front of our eyes. And of course we had our eye on the lumber to use, as a practical use of lumber, and what we didn't use to burn on the fireplace. It was quite a sight. There's Margaret with Lynette trying to pull out some lumber. We had a pickup truck that we got from Eddie Hyam, Margaret's sister. Brother. Well, she's his sister. And to bring it up, the lumber up into our yard, where we would cut it all up. Now the fresh lumber's coming to build the apartment building. And I don't know what that is, kind of a bulldozer. And we watched the apartment building go up day by day, week by week, and month by month, until it was finally completed. Quite a change for the old neighborhood. A big change, actually, complete change. There's the finished apartment building, looking very nice. I wouldn't want to live in there. And we can see our house. Couldn't see it today. This is another view of our house and the cypress trees we put in that are huge now. And the old Kirby house coming down.
This is Christmas 1980, and we gave Mark and Carol a croquet set. It's had many, many happy times with that. And Linda was out from England, and there's Terry and Linda having a good old chat and enjoying themselves. And I had to put on the Christmas do at my place, and we decided to all have to wear different hats and come up with different ideas. There's quite a variety here. Lots of fun. Wendy, yeah. My brother Les. I think that's Carol. And Mark.
Must be Mark, yeah.
And Evie, yeah.
Evie, yeah.
And me.
Lynette.
I don't know what I was. And who's that? I can't see.
That's
Alan, I think. And Marion.
Marion.
And Ken.
Yes.
Boy. And our next door neighbor at that time. And this is at the table, and we're
It's Lillian, and over on the other side there, the table.
Les at the end. Everybody.
Lorraine, Wendy, and there's Lynette, Alan, neighbor.
Yeah. Looks like
And
we were
just a
having
general gathering here, picture taking time.
Yeah, real good time.
All the Neville family.
And
there's
this was on your birthday. You and Rhoda are both the same
February, yeah.
4th. And so we usually celebrate it together.
Wendy. And
Another
the neighbor.
Yeah. And Margaret Stofer.
And Lynette.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
and
and
then
Mark
we're
and
in
Carol doing
Vancouver.
their thing.
They took dancing lessons, Mark and Carol, so they're practicing, and I think we joined them shortly.
Yeah,
Oh,
there we are.
Look at us go.
We're cutting a rug, if there is a rug down there.
Here we are in the interior somewhere. Beautiful picture. We both look happy. I think that's the year that Horace came out from England. There he is.
With the inlet behind him. We think it may be up island.
Yeah, it might be. We took him everywhere. We've been everywhere, man. And this is our good friend Pat and Trevor Hamill and their son Trevor. Double Trevor.
Two Trevors.
And in Vancouver, Armistice Day, and Mark's playing his bugle, and Ken's got all his medals on.
And here's Lynette's dad, Arthur Priestley, opening a present at Christmas. And now it's Lynette with Margaret in front of our Christmas tree. Terry with Wendy in front of the same Christmas tree. And here we're in Mark's at North Vancouver, sitting by the pool, Mark and Lynette. And then there's a group picture of us all sitting by the pool. And you can see Carol's pregnant.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a short pregnancy. Now Carol's coming out with the baby Colleen. Very happy occasion. And bring Colleen home. Mark and Carol and Colleen. Little bundle of flour, for the side look of it. And now there's Carol with her mom, Lillian, and with Lynette, admiring the baby. And now Grandpa Stofer got the baby with Lynette, all very happy. Quite an occasion, first grandchild. And there's Grandma Lynette with baby Colleen. And the proud Papa Mark with Colleen. Everybody's been taken care of. And Colleen in her jolly jumper or whatever they call those things, testing her legs and now waving at us. And Mark and Colleen in the garden.
The most photographed baby.
And here's Colleen, yeah, Colleen crawling in a cabin floor where we were out at Echo Lake near Vernon. And there's Mark and Carol and Lynette and baby Colleen going for a row out onto the lake. Oh, Colleen's first birthday, she gets a little banjo as a present. Not sure what to make of it exactly. Just banging around a bit, that's it. She'll make a few sounds out of it anyhow. And Lynette and I, of course, are present. Now, Lynette's going to play the banjo now. Yeah. And there's Colleen with a stroller, not sure which way to look or who to look at. And Carol and Colleen teaching her how to clap. And Mark opening his mouth, showing Colleen how to open it to get food in. There it goes. And myself, Grandpa, with Colleen, rubbing noses. And Terry with Colleen. Not sure when that was. And
our place.
Colleen.
Oh, she got a
yeah.
mouth organ. She's trying to play that.
Yes.
She's not sure whether she's going to do banjo or...
And there's Colleen in all her glory. With her little dolly and her big sun hat. And there's myself, Grandpa, with Colleen. I'm pushing the empty stroller. And there's Lynette and Carol.
Maplewood Farm in Vancouver.
Yes.
Out of it.
And Colleen's trotting away from the fence at the farm. Tell us about something. And myself holding Colleen. We're looking at some chickens or something, or ducks or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of his petting zoo.
Yeah. Now Colleen's taking lessons from Grandpa on how to ride a trike. She'd rather run though, I think. And now we're looking at the flowers, Grandma.
I think we're in Stanley
Grandpa.
Park in Vancouver. Beautiful daffodils.
And here.
Oh, and Carol's pregnant with the twins.
Yes, isn't that great? And
Oh, this was
Colleen
hair-raising.
ventures forth up the ladder.
I think she would have gone all the way.
Unbelievable what she
stopped
was
her.
trying to do there. She should have been an astronaut, we think, maybe. Grandpa's trying to make sure she doesn't fall.
I began writing because I saw an article in the paper that said that they were going to demolish my old family home. And I thought, oh, I've got to go around there and see it, just capture the memories. So I asked the people who lived in there, could I come in? And they said yes. Well, they had knocked down walls and put up walls on other places, just broken it all up into different rooms, and I was so disappointed. It was just terrible. So I went home and I thought, I've got to write about this for people in Victoria to remember how things were in the 40s and 50s. And I wrote it, and I got a phone call after phone call, and this was very encouraging. And I thought, oh, well, maybe I can write. And from that time on, I just wrote about anything I came across. And that's how it all began.
I'd always been interested in writing and thought that one day I should really do something about it, and especially after I'd seen one or two articles in the local paper that had been written about local things. So I thought, well, I'll take a crack at it myself, and what better did I know about than Mount Tommy, where I grew up as a kid. So I started to tell some stories of Mount Tommy and different things like that, and after a while I'd get phone calls from people, and they'd say to me, well, you know, you should see so-and-so or talk to my granddad or my dad. He has a great story. And I tried that, and from then on it just seemed to snowball, and the more I wrote, the more I wrote, because people were coming up left and right with articles. And about this time, the same time, I was starting to think about writing a book, and that's how I started writing Dear Mum. It took me about 10 years to do it, and then Dear Mum led to The Biggs Boys, and it just kept snowballing more or less after that. And it was a great experience, and I met a lot of interesting people, and there was always someone who led me to someone else, who led me to someone else, and so as a result, story after story came. And between Lynette and myself, who Lynette got interested at this time too, between the two of us, we must have churned out about I'd say 150 articles or more for the local paper. It was a lot of fun and a great experience.
Ken's just had his books all delivered, great big boxes full, and he's wheeling them up the driveway. Oh.
What a way to make a living.
There's some more books, and he's loading some more off. These are up near the house. He brought them all the way up in the wheelbarrow. What an exciting day for him. We just thought you people in England might be interested in this too. Now we got to sell them all.
Hello and welcome to Bookshelf. We're very pleased that you've joined us, and we have a very heartwarming, sensitive story for you today. I'm going to be talking with Ken Stofer, who has self-published this book, quite a risk, all on its own. The book is called Dear Mum, and it is the true story of a 19-year-old Victor Edward Candy Surratt from Milnes Landing, just outside Victoria in Soup. Well, he was one of many hundreds of young Canadians who paid their way to England to join the Royal Air Force in World War II. Surratt's story is partially told in letters to his mother. It covers his training and serving with the elite Sir Douglas Bader 242 Hurricane Fighter Squadron, life on a troop ship, experiences in Sumatra and Java, and finally, the ordeal of Japanese prison camps. There's a lot of comedy, a lot of wonderful sentiment in this book, and certainly a lot of challenges which had to be met by these young fellows leaving from Victoria and the area. Welcome to the program, Ken.
Thanks very much, Daphne. Nice to be here.
Well, it's great to meet you. I know that this was certainly a labor of love, and one wonders, now, why would you self-publish a book about someone else when you could have talked about your own exploits, and you've had a fascinating life of your own, and in some ways your own life paralleled that of Candy, and maybe we could start with that. How did you come to write the book, and how in some ways were you similar?
Well, of course, my life being sort of paralleling his really made me write the book more so, but how it actually started was I wrote a letter to the paper one Armistice, one Remembrance Day, about all those Canadians who went over and joined the Royal Air Force. And as a result of that letter, I had a phone call from this lady who asked me if by any chance I knew her brother. Well, you know, it would have been some chance because there were about 3 million of us in the Royal Air Force.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, that because of that phone call, I got talking to her more and more and more, and I like to talk, and she talked well, too, and she learned that I had always wanted to write this story about teenagers growing up and the Spanish Civil War coming along, and then Hitler coming along, and what happened to us, and we went overseas and all this sort of thing. And I was going to do that based on letters that I had written to my mother, how I thought when I was a 19-year-old, and what had happened to me. A kind of a fact-fiction story. Well, I misplaced my letters. My mother gave them to me at the end of the war, and I misplaced them in the course of house building. And this lady said, well, we have all of Victor's letters. If they would help you, you can have them to look at. And I was introduced to her mother, and her mother reminded me of my mother, who was a Londoner. And right away, I just liked the family. And I read Victor's letters, and as soon as I read Victor's letters, I forgot all about my story. I wanted to write about Victor. He was such a nice boy, wonderful character.
Everybody just loved this kid. I mean, he was cheerful and outgoing. He was full of courage in many ways. I read the book from beginning to end, and I was really fascinated because it is such a human warm story, and he seemed in his letters to, of course, give great accounts of every detail that was going on. You felt as though you were really right beside him all the way through the war.
It's one of these things that a lot of people don't realize this, but even after the war had started, it was very difficult to get into the Royal Canadian Air Force unless you were a university graduate, and especially if you wanted to fly, if you wanted to be aircrew. And every young man wanted to fly and be an aircrew. All of us did. And Victor was no exception to this, of course, although he was keen to learn the mechanics of flying, to know about engines and all this sort of thing. He made model aircraft, and he was very, very good at it. In fact, one of his Hurricanes that he made a model of was in the window of a store downtown, or an office building downtown, where the very man who was recruiting young men to go over to join the Royal Air Force had his desk, and where he saw you, and so he put this little Hurricane in the window. And so Victor was really raring to go, as they say. Now, you mentioned the word patriotism, and I think we have to be a little bit honest here about this. Patriotism certainly came into it, but it wasn't a priority. The priority was, I want to fly. And I know, I can't speak for Victor, unfortunately, he's not with us, and that's the sad part of the whole thing. But the thing was, we wanted to fly, and this was a means of getting into action. A war had come along, and here was a chance to fly.
There's no question the adventure is strong in this book, and you feel it.
Definitely.
It's just like a pulse in all of the young men that were serving. It's really difficult to try and put it in a nutshell, some of the experiences in this book. But if I ask you, what were some of the most amazing accounts to you? You had been through much of the same experience, although not a POW yourself. What were the stories that really touched you as you were writing Victor's story?
Well, there's so much, as you say, that you don't know where to start with this. Something that was rather amazing that came out of writing this was through the research. I brought together at least 3 sets, we'll call them couples, 3 sets of people who knew each other in the prison camp and hadn't seen each other since they walked through those gates the day the war ended. And one set of them only lived 30 miles apart. And to me, that was just wonderful. That was able to happen.
As a result of my letters to British newspapers, I located 3 chaps, all who knew Victor Surratt in the prison camp. They were all in the prison camp for nearly 4 years. This is Jim Home. And Jim told me many of the horrors they experienced. And now I'm with Taff Simmons and his wife. Taff's on the right there.
They came out to see us.
And Taff came out to see us. And Taff did all of the cartoons for the book, Dear Mum. Harold MacDonald was in the prison camp with Victor, and it was a sad time. He said he remembered that over 20% of them had died in the camp, and he was very lucky to be one to get home. Jim Home came out to visit us, and we went to see Noel Barlow, who was the fitter corporal on 242 Squadron. Noel wasn't a prisoner of war, but he knew Victor, and we had some interesting time, especially Jim and Noel talking over those old days.
About 20 years ago, Martin Carroll gave us
In the early 80s, 1980s, yeah.
a gift for Christmas of a night stay at Yellow Point. The first time we went, we stayed in the lodge. We loved it so much.
Yeah, it was a great place to go,
Yeah.
yes.
And then we got a cabin, and we spent many years, and you'll know why shortly. Why, and we love it.
This wonderful place.
Yeah.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows? Only time. We Who can say why your heart sighs as your love flies? Only time. And who can say